I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and this is a breaking news alert. Special Counsel Jack Smith has subpoenaed former Vice President Mike Pence in connection with Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation into Donald Trump. Obviously, I'm not in studio right now, but I had to bring you this critical breaking news alert. This clearly demonstrates an escalation in Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation into Donald Trump's election interference. You don't get much higher than former Vice President Mike Pence. Oh, wait, the only person that you get higher than would be Donald Trump, who is the one being criminally investigated. Now, the Special Counsel's office has climbed the proverbial ladder before getting this testimony, or this requested testimony, rather, from former Vice President Mike Pence. You'll recall our reporting that Pence's former Chief of Staff, Mark Short, previously testified before the grand jury in Washington, D.C. twice, once over the summer, then a few months later after Judge Beryl Howell, the federal judge overseeing the criminal grand jury process, ruled that Donald Trump's executive privilege claims were invalid. Just like Mark Short, you also had former Vice President Pence's general counsel, Greg Jacob, also testified twice before the grand jury as well, with the same type of results where Donald Trump invoked the executive privilege. It was eventually overruled by Judge Beryl Howell, the federal judge overseeing the grand jury process there. And both of those key Pence aides, the top Pence aides, were compelled to testify before the grand jury regarding all of their communications with Pence, their communications with Donald Trump, and the grand jury has gotten to hear evidence that even the January 6th committee has not received to date. So this is the way a prosecutor builds the case, because in addition to those individuals, Short and Jacob, the special counsel's office also went through the process of making sure to subpoena Trump's top legal aides. And for example, Pat Cipollone and Patrick Philbin, Trump's top White House lawyer and the top deputy White House lawyer, that was Philbin, they also were compelled to assert the same executive privilege objection because Donald Trump was asserting executive privilege. And ultimately, Judge Beryl Howell overruled those objections a few months back. They were compelled to testify before the criminal grand jury in Washington, D.C. twice. So Special Counsel Jack Smith has been very busy, right? You got Pat Cipollone, you got Patrick Philbin, you got Mark Short, you got Greg Jacob. We reported last week about Tom Fitton, the head of a group called Judicial Watch, which helped Donald Trump draft a script where Donald Trump was going to claim victory even when he lost the 2020 election. And that script was written before the 2020 election ever took place. Fitton is also someone who was advising Donald Trump regarding the documents Donald Trump stole and kept secret and concealed and engaged in obstruction of justice at Mar-a-Lago. So Fitton testified before the grand jury last week. We know Trump's top aide, Stephen Miller, also testified before the grand jury. And Miller was one of the individuals who helped draft the speech and didn't have the language in the original speech that called for essentially the attack on former Vice President Pence that Trump inserted into the speech. Also, Miller was very aware of Donald Trump's election interference. And so you have those individuals who testified. You have all the subpoenas we've been talking about here on the MeidasTouch Network that Special Counsel Jack Smith's office has been sending out to the various states, to state officials, to local officials regarding Donald Trump's election interference there. And now you have this bombshell news that Special Counsel Jack Smith has subpoenaed former Vice President Mike Pence.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Paired. Forget impersonal Valentine's Day presents. This year, give the gift of your presence. It's the little things. Research shows that everyday moments of connection are what matters most in a relationship. And the Paired app, well, it sends you daily prompts to increase your connection and intimacy with your partner. The Paired app offers daily questions, games, and guided conversations designed from experts that allow you to do something meaningful for your relationship every day. And the best part, you don't get to see your partner's answers until you answer it yourself. Using the Paired app for just 5 minutes a day, it builds deeper knowledge that allows you and your partner to connect, boost intimacy, and fall in love again and again. My partner and I, we're so competitive, and we look forward to using this app every day and playing the different games and prompts that Paired provides, just to be able to carve out time and focus on us while having a great time doing it. It's truly so special, and I'm honestly so grateful for the Paired app. So for a Valentine's Day gift that will last far beyond the holiday, head to paired.com/Meidas to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off if you sign up for a subscription. Just head to paired.com/Meidas to sign up today. Connect with your partner every day using Paired. A happier relationship starts here. If you care, you pair.
Something else you should know about this subpoena. Former Vice President Mike Pence was previously subpoenaed by the January 6th committee, but objected to that on the grounds of separation of powers. And Pence's kind of BS argument to the January 6th committee is that Congress shouldn't have the power to bring in someone in the executive branch with the high-level position as a former vice president. This is very different, though, when it comes to the Justice Department, which is the executive branch. I think Pence's arguments before the January 6th committee, why he didn't testify there, was completely BS to begin with. But nonetheless, given the limited time the January 6th committee had and given the arguments that Pence could ultimately make, Pence was able to basically drag out the time and not testify there. But this is not the case when it comes to the Department of Justice. Pence does not have those arguments. Pence knows that he will ultimately lose the argument not to testify. If he tries to avoid the subpoena, he could be held and have significant criminal repercussions if he doesn't cooperate with this subpoena. And also, the Department of Justice has climbed the ladder, as I talked about at the outset. Now, if the Department of Justice started with Pence, Pence would basically say, you got to start with my lieutenants first, start with my deputies, and then if there's information that's determined that I, former Vice President Pence, uniquely hold, then you can try to feel free and try to subpoena me. But until that happens, I shouldn't have to testify. That's why I know a lot of you were very frustrated, and rightfully so, at the how slow this investigation was going under Merrick Garland. But as I had said in prior videos, I said all of these steps need to be taken to have a buttoned-up case. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the testimony of people like former Vice President Pence. And so the DOJ has pursued this very diligent process, and now it's come to the time where they've climbed the ladder and they are able to subpoena former Vice President Pence. This is according to multiple sources. And let's talk about for a second, what Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation focused on regarding Donald Trump? Well, there's two major criminal grand juries taking place right now. There's one criminal grand jury that's investigating election interference, but there's a lot of subparts there, which we should go over. And then in addition to that, there's another criminal grand jury that is investigating Donald Trump's theft of government records, including top secret classified records, and Donald Trump's mutilation, destruction, and concealment of that conduct, which has been the subject of a criminal investigation since the search warrant was executed at Mar-a-Lago. But going to the election interference investigation that's taking place, this is focused on the January 6th insurrection itself, number one. Number two, it's focused on Trump's campaign finance violations with all of these scam political organizations that Donald Trump used to grift and deceive donors. You have Donald Trump's use of these fake electors and Donald Trump's threats to state and local election officials and intimidating them and harassing them. So those are the four main categories within the election interference investigation. that special counsel Jack Smith is focused on, and former Vice President Pence is going to be questioned on that. Also, former Vice President Pence is a victim in the January 6th case. He was the target of ultimately Donald Trump's design to compel the insurrectionists to kill him. And former Vice President Pence will be able to talk about his communications with Donald Trump, his communications with his advisors, why he was aware what Donald Trump was doing was illegal, how Donald Trump had the intent to engage in this legal act, because what Pence will say is, look, I knew this was illegal. I was advised. I knew it was unlawful. I didn't go along with the unlawful plan because I knew it was illegal, and Donald Trump knew it was that he was breaking the law. So that will also go to Donald Trump's intent. I can't stress enough, folks, how big this is. It's so big that I had to just stop what I was doing right now in the meeting I was at to give you this breaking news. I'm sorry if the sound quality is not as good as it usually is, but it is critical that I give you this breaking news alert and that you hear it from me first right here on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Ben Meiselas. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. So please hit the subscribe button. And in addition, check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Become a member there. Also, check out Killing County on Hulu if you haven't seen it yet, which I executive produced with Colin Kaepernick. I think you will enjoy that show. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Subscribe. It's free.
The best part of waking up? MAGA tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.